Trip will probably be a mile or two to mile 4, depending on this Saturday where she goes. If she wins, then maybe Royal Ascot. It's hard to say, but you like to think she's 110 horse rated. She hasn't actually got a rating because she ran in France last year, and they haven't given her a rating as such yet. But I think she's 110 plus horse. She runs over a mile 3 on Saturday. She's got speed, but she relaxes nicely and probably could get to mile 4. Hopefully she might be an Oaks filly later on in time. We'll find out a bit more on Saturday. She's by Monjura, who's obviously thrown some nice horses. He showed he wanted a trip, he was a good horse himself. And she's well bred, lovely filly.
Channel 4 Racing, sponsored by Dubai. Take a closer look. Channel 4 Racing, sponsored by Dubai. Take a closer look.
Franny Norton, age 15, from Liverpool. Got a few names, I don't know about nicknames. A while back they used to call me the Mighty Atom, and that's obviously because of me boxing and everything. Well, I've boxed all my life. I got picked for 1994 Commonwealth Games. I was going through a little bit of a turmoil of whether I was going to be a jockey or be a boxer. I got a call off Mick Shannon to go down and ride one for him. I ended up going that way, and that's what made my mind up not to be a fighter. I was rubbish as a boxer, yeah. I don't know how far I've made it, but listen, I've had plenty of ups, plenty of downs. Most memorable one would have been riding the Ledger Sales race, because we had the news of the Hillsborough, and I could dedicate that race to them, and that was a big eye for me that day, because emotionally, mentally, physically, everything, that meant a lot to me. When I was a kid, I remember riding around at Newbury, and for some unknown reason, I thought when he turned in, they went over to the far side, and I don't know why. Anyway, I rode around there, and I whipped off over to the far side. All the jockeys stayed that side, and I was still 10 clear going into the furlong marker. Anyway, I ended up finishing last, so that was embarrassing.
The very engaging Franny Norton, who's been in action here at Chester this week. We're going to take a look at some of our feature races on for this afternoon, and we're going to start with the Victoria Cup down at Ascot. It's a huge handicap and often has a significant bearing on what happens at the Royal Hunt Cup at the Royal Meeting. Bertie Whittle is 12-1, clear favourite, but that just tells you how difficult this is to solve. Jamesy from Ireland, Lightning Cloud, Tarty Flett, half a sixpence, all 14-1. Franny Norton, who you've just heard from, rides Tarty Flett. 16 Cape Classic Highland Glory Dream Tune, well painted 18 with Glenn Moss, and 20-1 bar. Graham, Michael and I are going to take a look at a few of the leading players here. Graham, we're going to start with half a sixpence, who brings some pretty good recent form into this, strong at the finish over a mile at Newbury, but the key question that's been posed is whether the slight drop back in trip is going to suit, and we can highlight both half a sixpence and the runner-up in one here.
Yeah, we got Dream Tune, who was just out of the frame. Good news line here, Steve Drown back in the big time, and a good winner here at Chester yesterday.
That was nice.
Yeah, he's on half a sixpence today in the Knowles band. This horse more positively ridden here. Dream Tune just fades late on. I think the stiff mile on softish ground was perfect for half a sixpence. I'm not quite so sure he'll confirm this form back over 7 today, Nick.
Michael, when you're having a bet of a Saturday, or indeed any day of the week, do these big field handicaps appeal to you as much as the group races and the smaller field races?
Not really, no. No, I find it hard, obviously. It's hard. The rewards are better, aren't they, with the odds, as you see, the 12-1 the field today. But no, I find it hard. I mean, if I'm at a meeting at Royal Ascot or something, then I'll have a play, but unless I strongly fancy one, then I find it hard to choose.
And do you still get as much sort of enjoyment from having a bet as you always did? Is it still a buzz?
Yeah, I think it's part of the game. That's the. I mean, like it or not, that's what a lot of people, come racing for, and I'd have to admit, I mean, I started my interest from watching my dad have his 50p bets on a Saturday, and he used to let me pick one. And that's sort of where I got the interest, and it grew from there. So I mean, it is part of the game.
Are your children as interested as you were at their age?
Well, my daughter, my eldest, has just turned 10, and she's really into her dressage. So not necessarily the racing side, but she loves coming up to the yard and seeing 95 horses walking around.
You've got to be careful. These dressage horses cost a fortune.
They
make race horses look cheap.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you back Tarty Flett this afternoon, you can finance a few of those. Let's have a look at this filly. A lot last year, Graham, if you just ring her for us, she didn't really find much off the bridle, but she seemed to do better on her comeback, didn't she?
She's got a turn of foot, this filly. Also pick up in the white colours and the noseband in front is Highland Glory. Right of picture is Cape Classic. These three horses reopposed today, but look at the turn of foot that Tarty Flett produces here. She did it at Donny last back end, she did it here. She used to be frustrating, she's now closing the deal in really good style. Slightly different weights today, but Tarty Flett's turn of foot make her dangerous. You know a fair bit about Highland Glory. He used to be at Manor House, didn't he?
That's right, we used to train Highland Glory, and Tom was sad to see him go. He knew he was going to be a nice horse, and he's gone and proved to be. He's won 4 or 5 races since.
Okay, where are we going next? We are going up to
Lightning Cloud.
Number 5, Born to Surprise, Graham.
Of course,
Born
yeah.
to Surprise for you. I know you wanted to have a look at this with Darren Egan in the play.
Yeah, this is a horse who, when he's good, Nick, he's very, very good. When I stretch over, you can see there, he's buried at the back. He's given plenty to do, but he's got a right turn of foot when he's on song. And I think these real massive fields might help him. Have a look at the way he scythes through on the outside. He wins a warm handicap in very, very impressive fashion. The question today, Nick, he's drawn very high, pretty much against the stands rail. Last year's race was dominated by horses drawn 2, 1, 5 and 8.
And Darren Egan, an interesting angle here. He is being used by all the top trainers now to claim his, what is it, still a £3 claim?
Yeah, those £3 can be gold dust in a race like this.
Now we're going to have a look at Lightning Cloud.
Now then, we know that Gary Neville is a wizard on these He-Go machines.
You can see him, he's champing at the bit trying to get to it.
So, in your new career as a football pundit, there you go. Right. He's a natural at this. Go on and highlight.
Lightning Cloud is about there.
Absolutely perfect. Gary Neville.
Get your coat, GC.
Yeah. Anyway, this doesn't tell the full story. He fell out of the stalls here, Lightning Cloud. He lost half a dozen lengths, and he did tremendously well. Watch him all the way up the outside. He ends up with a great deal to do, but he never stops trying. He battles on willingly, and he was very eye-catching in last year's Victoria Cup. He had the worst of the draw last year, drawn high, finished a blinding 5th. He's going back to Ascot 12 months on, in great form based on this thirst run.
His stable, that of Kevin Ryan, have also had a pretty good time of things of late. Glory awaits 150 to 1 second in the Kipco 2000 Guineas last week, and Gina Bryce has been along to his stables to chat to him about that and this horse.
Well, Kevin, you've got Lightning Cloud in the Victoria Cup on Saturday, and you must have been really pleased with his comeback.
Yeah, he fluffed his lines a bit at the start and got left. He was quite fresh at Thirsk, and still came there with a great chance 2 down. Just gave himself too much to do, but it was a good prep run for the race at Ascot. And
he's off a mark of 95, is he now? But as you say, he just keeps on improving.
He does, yeah. I mean, he's off a good mark, and you know, Amy gets on very well with him, and you know, we've had the race in mind for a long time, so hopefully he can go and do it now.
Kevin Ryan there. Who has some really interesting runners this afternoon across all our venues, and you'll be able to see that interview in full with Gina during our coverage from York's Dante Festival next week, which begins on Wednesday through Friday. Let's head to Ascot then for more thoughts on the Victoria Cup from our team on track. Rishi.
Yes, Nick, Mick and I are going to talk about a couple of 4-year-olds who are potentially open to a bit more improvement, starting with the Charlie Hills runner, Glenn Moss. Mick, he's a horse who has some good form on the flat last year, on quick ground at Haydock, but he's also got good form at Kempton. We're looking at the excellent second last time out.
Yeah, this is quite a good run, shows its well-being, the team continuing good form. And you just wonder, is this horse held by a horse called Arnold Lane? They met last year, and Arnold Lane came out on top. I see no reason to think that this horse is going to turn the tables today. Yeah, it's a little bit of a question mark how much more improvement he's got to come. He looked like he was held, as you say, on that occasion and by Arnold Lane. Perhaps another 4-year-old with the ability to improve, especially now he's back on turf, is Solar Deity. Mick, he's done a lot of running on the all-weather. He's spent more time on the sand than most horses in this race. But he has got a bit of early form in his career on the turf. Yeah, this is a very interesting bit of ET here. SK Love is the eventual winner here, but Loving Spirit is another horse that runs in this race here this afternoon. Travelled very well, Loving Spirit, but Solar Deity comes here, I think, has every chance.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's going back to turf, coming from Marco Botti's stable, which has been in excellent form, could be a positive. He's got a pedigree that is equally adept on turf as it is on the all-weather. And I know a man who has an interest in Solar Deity this afternoon is Michael Owen.
What do you think?
Yeah, he's a horse I like today. I think a lot of people say that all-weather form stands up at Ascot in particular. So, I mean, he beat one of my horses the other day on the all-weather in a listed race, Kenny Powers. So.
And you obviously rate yours.
Yeah, we like ours. Yeah. We thought he should have won. He just hung in the last few yards, and we were a bit worried about it. And transpires that he picked up an injury in them last few yards. But yeah, he's a good horse, and I expect Solidarity to go well today.
Okay, so strong word for Solidarity from here at our Chester base. Tanya, what are you saying down at Ascot?
Well, there's no moves as yet in the markets for Solidarity. Now, during the week, it's been a lot easier to dig out those winners. Look at Captain Bertie yesterday, 9s into 9 to 4. Of course, there was a little bit of non-runners. Magician as well at Chester. Today, though, massive field, wide open betting. Let's look at the Potemps Network handicap hurdle at Haydock. That's their 330. Barazan, 12 to 1 from 20 to 1. Evan Williams' horse carrying 10-6. Got to take on the likes of Forgotten Voice and Nicky Henderson. Betfred, Victoria Cup, you've mentioned Solidarity. In fact, you've mentioned about 8 horses. It's so open. Bertie Whittle is 12 from 16, favourite at the moment. 12 to 1 favourite, 12 to 1 the field. David Barron, Richard Hughes team up with Bertie Whittle. 240 Ascot, the Buckhound Stakes. On the exchanges, big negative Ectyham as that drifts out to 4 to 1 and even bigger. And in the 315, West with the Night, William Haggis and once again Richard Hughes. That's a positive. And the Victoria Cup, as I was saying, huge field in that. Lots of runners. If you want 5 places, look around. Bet365, Sky Bet, Boyle Sports, Bet Victor, Paddy Power, all offering 5 places in that impossible, tricky handicap. Nick, have you got something with a smaller field to digest?
Tanya, thanks very much indeed. Yeah, we're going to have a look now at the Betfred Lingfield Derby trial, which has been downgraded this year to listed status, but it still could have a significant bearing on what happens at Epsom in a couple of weeks' time. Greatwood, the 11 to 8 on favourite, was second in that sales race last time. Jamie Spencer ride. Nevis for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien, 11 to 4. 7 to 1 another Cocktail, Ellie Dorr and Pasaka Boy, the 40 to 1 outsiders. And Graham, for all it's a small field, and Greatwood should win this. He's got a couple of interesting rivals, amongst them another Cocktail who runs in the same colours sported by Banoffee earlier this week.
Cheshire Oaks winner.
Yeah.
If we highlight him here, Nick, he runs very well. The question is, a very simple one, is he good enough? In the Racing Post this morning, his trainer Hughie Morrison says he's come on a stone for this run. That's interesting. He needs to have come on pretty much that amount. Massal, the winner, is Epsom bound. Gabriel's Kaka didn't really do a great deal for the form here the other day. And he just runs an honourable race. He edges in slightly, as many horses do at Epsom. This level of form, Nick, would not be good enough to win a normal Lingfield Derby trial. The question is, how fast is he improving?
And of course you can see that Hughie Morrison wants to go Derby with him by where he's running him, Epsom first and then Lingfield.
Yeah, 2 tracks that have a lot of similarities to Epsom.
Now Michael, you like Greatwood the favourite here. I think probably a lot of us do. He's a very short price favourite, but the sales race at Newmarket looked pretty good.
Yeah, I like him today. I think
let's pick him up there, Michael, and on we go.
Yeah,
he's in the pocket here, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I think I mean, Luca Kamani has probably started the season quicker than he started many this season, this year, and he had a couple of winners at Chester, and they just look a little bit more forward than normal, and this is a nice horse.
He's slightly unlucky. A horse in the yellow cap is Windhoek, who went on to win a decent race in good style at Newmarket. A couple of horses further back haven't done a great deal for the form, but he's very progressive. He's going to be a strong stayer, and his trainer Luca Kamani won this race with Kayasi and High Rise, who both went on to win the Derby.
Yeah, Michael makes a good point about Luca's horses. Mount Athos and Danadana both winning at Chester this week. Highclere Thoroughbred Racing, exciting few weeks in prospect for them. Their big Derby Hope Telescope will be out in the Dante next week, and of course they've got this horse here today in the Lingfield Derby trial. And Harry Herbert, the man who's behind Highclere, is with Rishi at Ascot.
He is indeed, and looking forward to, as you say, Nick, today at Lingfield and also next week at York. But first of all, today, Greatwood, probably in most eyes at the start of the season, people thought, yeah, he's a good horse to follow. But did you really believe he was a Derby contender at the start of the year?
I don't think so, but Luca's always been very high on this colt, and was absolutely gutted when he got beaten at Salisbury last year. We were standing together at the Goff Sale, and he was shaking his head and just had to walk away. But he's worked very well coming into the Newmarket race, and there were some very positive vibes at Bedford House. Yeah.
I expect that given the form of the race and the form of his Newmarket race, and looking at the contenders today, you're very hopeful that he'll win.
Well, yes, I mean we're always hopeful. The form of Newmarket's very good, as